G'day guys and girls and small people and large people and round people and furry people everywhere. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Great to have you back with another episode of How Not to Explode. Now, for the most part, this has always been a tips and tricks guide, a few little things on side scraping, juking, all that. And we will have a look today at various things like that, specifically brawling with the E50 and Camo, and just run through some gameplay to give you ideas. But I've had a few incidents and accidents lately with people online where it's just starting to really get on my nerves, and this game can be very frustrating. So I've included a few of the lesser lights and a few of the situations where you might want to blow your stack, and just some of the things I've been doing as well. So it's all in there, a bit of a rant, a bit of a rave. It's all coming up in How Not to Explode. Come along, join me, and please enjoy. So firstly, we're on Rockfield, and I've speeded this up because there's really nothing you need to see here about from the numpty on my right in an E5. Now, he's got to tier 10 in that tank somehow, but I don't think it was playing Rockfield very well. You can see here he's just rolling forward. I was having a great old time here. I've taken that T62A down to about 200 hit points. He's just rolling forward. Let's get hammered. Let's expose our side. We've got a big ward on top. Okay, so he's realised he's getting destroyed, and he's probably needs to move, but what's he doing? He's blocking me. So I was in the spot, holding the line, doing everything fine. He's just repeatedly getting hammered and didn't score any points in this match, by the way. He had a big zero, big fat zero. Now he's behind me. I'm trying to move back, so I move forward, get him out of my way. That's fine. Now he's hugging me on the right. So I'm going to try and put another one in. Oh, he's right behind me again. I can't move. People like this exist, and they've been finding me a lot lately. All I want to do is defend it. Look at him. What is he doing? Someone stop the madness. So, yeah, and look, we lost this game. That was our tier 10. Good God. This is Black Goldville. Chalks from the forums was in this game. Again, I was with Jamiroquai and his Yag Tiger here. I'm pretty happy. I've got one from the E75, but I put one in the side of the JGPZ. Jamo and Chalks are down there doing the business, and I'm going to handle this E75 quite comfortably. There's a great rock here for side scraping off. The STI is a brilliant tank for side scraping, really well equipped. And the E75 hasn't set himself up to side scrape, I don't think. So I'm just taking my time, getting myself in a position where there's no worries at all. And I do so, and I can see he's wide open. He's not angled at all. This is money for jam. I've already scored the kill. I'm rolling down to put shots in the flank of that JG. There he is. He's fired. He's gone for the easy shot. It's not easy at all. One in the lower glacis. Oh, he's going to charge me. Excellent, no problems. I'll face hug him. I'll get one into him as he comes over the hill. He's going to try and ram me, but that's all right. I'll just let him stop there. I'm going to move a little bit backwards so that his ram doesn't do a lot of damage to me because he's quite a heavy tank. And then I'm going to face hug with my back against the wall, pressing forward so that we keep him straight up. He might get one in my turret, just on the top there because he's a very tall tank, but he'll only do it once. We move our turret side to side after that. We're just going to face hug him. All he's got is that tiny little hatch, but we've got his flat cheeks on his tank, or that upper glacis with heat. Easy. Chalks and Jamo are still down the bottom. They can hold that. This is looking like a great, great win. We're going to hammer this. Fantastic stuff. Can't wait. There we go. That's the kill. Now we just have to get down the bottom. Just got to get down the bottom, Bushka. Ah, shit. You guessed it, ladies and gentlemen. Bushka's going abso-fucking-lutely nowhere because he's stuck. So the tip here is if you are going to face hug a tank, don't do it with your ass pressed directly into a wall because the rest of the team dies while I'm sitting up here pulling my pud, and it's all my fault. And not surprisingly, they start making fun of me. Yeah, you can just see them all slowly falling away. Very frustrating. There's Chalks. He's giving me a bit of a serve. So it just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, don't believe everything you see in the movies. Just because you see me doing well in videos doesn't mean that I'm not totally capable of being a stupendous noob at times as well. Speaking of noobs, this week's Noob Community Service announcement regards Fails Creek. Bridges for crossing streams, guys. They're for crossing rivers, streams and roads. You do not go to a bridge to cap. You go to the cap circle to cap. And the entire enemy team here is going to go to the cap circle and cap. And that renders all 5 of the idiots in our team who are in spawn and at bridge completely null and void and useless. Now, I can understand if you're in a T95 or a JGP E100 and you're too slow to get across without worrying about getting flanked and done from behind. But if you're in KV4, as that guy is there, or any kind of tier 10 heavy or medium, and you're not going to the cap area or flanking hard, then you're just wasting everyone else's time. Now, these guys want me to go and defend the base. There are 2 tier 10 heavies in that base right now. There's a T110E5 and an IS-7, plus a whole bunch of other tanks, destroyers, mediums, and heavy tanks. And I'm just not interested anymore in going and wasting my 50k in silver because these morons can't get off their ass and actually play their tanks properly. If you're a sniper, go for your life, be a sniper. If you're a tank destroyer with a lot of armor and you lead from the front, do that. If you're a side scraping heavy tank, go to the cap and side scrape. You can see those guys went bridge, and then they started rolling from bridge when there was no one there towards the cap circle. How about you cut out the middleman, and just go to the cap circle in the first place? Map control is everything. If you get that cap circle going, 2 tanks in there will make that cap absolutely fly. And this is the key. If you go on Fails Creek to the cap circle and put 2 to 3 tanks in there and hide them behind a building so no one can actually snipe them from either side, that cap number will absolutely fly, as it is here. And the enemy team will be absolutely screwed. It's just basic common sense, but we get so many people. I'd love to see this map removed from circulation, by the way. I think it's far and away the worst map in the game, and it encourages the worst gameplay. You can see this IS-3 on my left. He did his best. He came up here. He was going to flank and move towards the cap, but he's of the same mind. I mean, there's absolutely no joy. WWXWW's gone the bridge in his KV4, and he's got his 1 sniper kill, and congratulations. I'm sure that felt fantastic, but mate, it's pointless. You're going to lose the game 9 times out of 10 if you let 7 enemy tanks go and sit in a cap circle. But I digress, and there are other things in this life apart from bad play and bad bridges. There's ramming on the E50, and that is probably the most fun you can have driving a tank. So first and foremost, we have the E50 on Oasis. We're going to do a little ram on the Centurion. I think it's about 270 odd here, but you can see we're going pretty quick, even though we're going uphill. Nearly 300 damage on a ram. This is a 60-ton tank. That means that if you can get 60 tons, what is it, the old formula? Mass times velocity. That's what we're looking at here. And even though the KV4 and the E100 are great ramming tanks, it's very hard for them to get a good hard run up at a tank and keep it still so you can hit it. The E50 is so quick and so heavy for its size, for its style of tank, that it can absolutely slaughter innocents in terms of ramming. Now, I just see this here as a golden opportunity. That tank is at the bottom of a hill. There is no better place for ramming a tank than at the bottom of a hill. If it is at the bottom of a hill, for God's sakes, drop the hammer and run it down like a dog. I think we're going to do about 570 damage here. You don't believe me? Look how hard we hit this guy. Good night, nurse. Tracked him, smashed him. Thanks for coming. That's what you get for sitting in respawn. God bless you. The next one we're going to have a look at is Camo and I on Jamiroquai on Desert Sands. Now, there's 3 hungry Wolfpack mediums down there. There's a Scent, a Patton, and a T43. They've seen an E75 there, nice and slow. They're going to dust him off before I can get down there and do much, or they're thinking it's going to be too tough. I'm going to drop the turbo and absolutely tear this pattern apart. He's got about 5 seconds left to live. Have a look at this. 577, nearly 600 damage, and just a little love tap to finish him off. That Centurion thought he was absolutely home and hosed. We then decide, forget the T-43, we're just going to help the Centurion, help E-75 out here, our platoon mate, and knock this Centurion on the head. And once that's done, we do end up with a very, very comfortable victory. We won't watch the whole thing, but you'll see here, this is what it's all about. Just helping out your buddy. He dies. He's a one-shot kill. That Centurion is white hot with rage. You can see he types me a little love message here. Always makes it worth it. Fuck that E-50. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, here's the next tip. If you're an American turreted tank destroyer, particularly the T-49, just because you can do 60 kilometres an hour doesn't mean you should do 60 kilometres an hour. Look at that guy go. We're 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, and I'm thinking, thank God he stopped. But he hasn't stopped. He's the tip of the spear. And he's dead at 6 minutes 11. Likewise, there's a T-43 on the far right flank. He's gone YOLO, solo, into 2 enemy tanks. So we're going to be down 2 tanks in the first minute of the game without so much as doing, a couple of hits worth of damage. And it is everyone else's fault. At least the T-49 has the good grace not to sit there whinging. The T-43 blames the team. Stupid team. Don't know teamwork. All this kind of stuff. Fuck. Guys, you will generally not win the game in the first minute and a half. And if there is one thing I can guarantee you, it's don't go flying into the enemy in a tank destroyer. Now here I am with Ace Infinity Strike, the artist formerly known as Dark Knight, and we're doing what's called a platoon side scrape, basically. You can see I'm angled towards that T-95 so that all you can see is the auto bounce side of my tank and my very strong turret armour. Ace is angling off my arse. So basically he's got that extended line all the way through the side of his STI so that he can't get hit there, and he's shooting using me as a hull down position basically. So he doesn't really have to move. He can tank a T-95 and just pop shots into the hatches, which he's been doing, and this T-95 got absolutely destroyed. The Panther there on our right has moved up trying to get in on the kill at the end, and I think the T-32 actually on our right again gets the kill on him. But yeah, really interesting tactic, and one, if you've got 2 big strong heavies like an STI in the one group, in the one plat, then you should be doing it. You can see that that's a perfect angle of it. Look at that. There's nothing that T-95 can hit there, but he's got 2 guns facing him. Now this is the same situation. I'm here with Aegon. He's in an E75 and I'm in an STI. Now I'm going to take a few hits here. Aegon has a very, very good game, and we won't watch it all to the end. We'll watch it up to me getting blown to smithereens. But what I want to illustrate is this is a really contested corner. You can see there's an SU-152, an E75, an M103. There was a T-28 there as well. There's been a few other tanks hanging around at the back of it. But I'm on the corner side scraping, and that's all well and good. But Aegon is angling off me in his E75. You look how far behind me he is there. And that's the really important key here, the distance. Because the hardest part about side scraping is you're being stuck against the wall, and then you've got to move back to get your shot. And you can quite often expose yourself a little bit at the front when you do move back to get that shot. And when you've got multiple targets against you, it becomes a real timing issue where you've got to get good at the timing of that. But have a look at this. Aegon is miles behind me there, and yet he is completely safe from harm. He's not been hit once. He's got a really, really big glow of glacis that would be exposed if I wasn't in front of him. But I am, and I'm basically an extension of that wall, but he can still fire across that back section of my tank, the chassis of my tank. So he's, for all intents and purposes, he's sitting in the middle of a square, hull down, with no way he's going to get hit by any of those tanks in front of him, apart from a very lucky shot or poor teamwork. And he's relying on me, but that's one of the great parts of this game is the teamwork. And he has a really strong game here. He top damages the whole thing, and and nails it. And I don't do a particularly large amount of damage, but I'd like to think, and I'm pretty sure, the reason we won this game is the strength of this stand in the middle. It let everyone else just work around us and absolutely rip them to shreds. And these guys had a good, strong team in front of us, but they just couldn't come to grips with it. The T95 eventually rolls forward, and I take a couple of hits there, being a bit silly, looking on the left there at that IS. I should have just trusted Aegon to actually have a crack at that, and the T95 got one into me as well. So, I mean, it's obviously not foolproof, but it's something that works very well if you've got a teammate you trust. And we do have a little tangle here with the 95, but you can see we're still side scraping off here. Aegon's still putting damage into people. He's going to put another one into the T95 while we're bouncing shots. And this was the confrontation of the whole map here. If we hadn't been able to bounce a few and get shots into the side of him, and that's the first damage Aegon takes the entire game with 334 in, and he's going to done a good 2 or 3k already. And we won't watch the whole thing. We're going to move on. But there you go. You have it. Double side scrape there. Good thing to do in Platoon or with someone you trust. Now, this is the Matilda Tier 4 tank. If you're looking for overpowered, this is the very definition of it. It doesn't get any more overpowered than this tank. You only have to kill these couple of martyrs here, and there's no one else on the battlefield I've got to worry about. There's 2 Covenanters in the game. They both have very good games. They do everything absolutely right, and through no fault of their own, they get destroyed, because basically I don't have to worry about getting penned by anyone. I'm a super tank. And if you're looking for a tip, trick, or a guide from this, it's go up the British heavy line and get a Matilda, because it's rated as a medium tank. It moves like a T95 and has a very similar armour profile, but they've stuck a turret on the top. You can see this Covenanter is driving everywhere to try and get an angle on me. As long as you keep not side scraping, keep angling your tank roughly at about a 40-degree angle. He's beside himself, the poor little bugger, doing his very, very best. And there's another one behind me. So what I'm going to do is turn my turret around from the one in front of me, let this one behind me shoot me in my weak rear armour, and that doesn't matter because he can't pen me there either. He's got to be slamming his fist against the side of the doors at the moment. There's no chance for him. This guy is still shooting me in the back. I'm just capping while there is a tank fully shooting me from point blank range, because, you know, Matilda. Because Matilda. That's why. And then we know the final tank that we've got to take out, the Su-85B, is in respawn, because I always look for the tanks that can pen me, and I didn't see him appear on the entire map, so I figured he was AFK or camping. And we go over there at top speed and top pace, bearing in mind this is actually in double speed, and take this guy to bits. Now, I guess the thing I'm trying to illustrate here is that this and the next video, they're Tier 4 and Tier 6 games, and you should be using them as your stress release. If you're running Tier 9 tanks all the time, and you're running across some of the people that you've seen so far, or idiots like me getting themselves jammed at the top of Black Gold, go and play some Tier 4, 5 and 6, and just enjoy yourself. Take your overpowered tank, and oh god, talk about tanks that are overpowered. This thing's brilliant if it hits, but you can see there it's got a high dispersion Russian gun, and you're always going to struggle. Now this is Tier 6, and this is a lot of fun, this tank. I'm not a particularly great fan of the tank itself, but the derp gun is the first in the long line of enormous Russian howitzer type weaponry. And if you've got the big derp gun, you can quite often take down half the hit points on a Tier 6 heavy. You can see here, this poor old M6. Now Basil there is asking the KV1 who's been asleep for 4 minutes, what are you doing? Why do you come here if you want to sleep? We've hit the back of the M6 for 400 plus and taken him out. There's an enormous amount of lag when I play at my son's Taekwondo classes on the mobile network, and you can see it here. we line this shot up, we press the button, and then we all get to wait a second and see if we win or we're dead. This happens to me all the time. Here we go. Got it. Take the shot. Oh, there it goes. We got it in. And that's causing a lot of rapture. Basil in this game was brilliant. The Flat Panzer driver. Him and Ryo, you are cool SU. I'm not just cool, Basil. I'm a goddamn hero tank. So we've been 1 on 3 basically. We're rolling down to the cap. We've got to get there. I'm thinking I might get a shot because I'm probably in real strife with this KV. But no, I've got to rush. Got to get there before the 100. 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Yes. Just stop the cap. Take one for my troubles. Pull that stick back. Basil's over the moon. Yes, he says. And this is the fun of these Tier 6 games. Like, there's always these moments in these games where you get the one tank that can just do all this damage and it wins the day. You can just imagine Basil's at home fist pumping. Thanks for the run, mate. That was good fun. So go and do yourself a favour. If you're stressing out like I do sometimes at the tactics at Tier 9 and 10, go and play a little bit low and see if you can't enjoy yourself. Now this one, the E50 on falls, we've done an absolute cubic arseload of damage so far. We've taken out 3 tanks and we're now facing an IS-8 and there's another IS-8 lurking around somewhere. There's a VK with us here who's got balls as big as coconuts. He basically comes storming out from behind me on my right and just goes for it, even though he's a Tier 6 tank. And he cops a flogging for it, but he soaks up some damage that would have otherwise come towards me. And for that, I thank him. Now, what we're doing here is using the dead carcass of that Black Prince in front of us to just wrong foot this IS-8. You can see the VK actually manages to do some damage on this guy, I think. And like, he could have been hiding at the back and just leaving it be, but he actually has a crack now. He misses his shot, and we're going to beat him on the reload here. Now, this is important. There is an IS-8 going to appear behind me. Rather than trying to turn my tank, get away from him and just get an object between you and the enemy first. There you go. Then start turning your tank and finding your feet. So that by the time he comes around the corner, I'm hull down, set. We're both one-shots, but he's going to have to come and get me from a really strong position, and that's how we get the win. So very important to use everything at your disposal when you're really pushing it to do well. And one of the things you've got at your disposal is abusing terrain like that and other tanks and such to actually enable you to survive. Now, this is a situation where I'm going to abuse gun depression, or rather the Fury's lack or inability to depress his gun far enough to hit me. Now, I've got this fellow in front of me, I've got the Fury on my right, and I've got someone sniping from my far right as well. So you can see there's little spouts of dirt flying up all over the place. The aim here is to put one into the Fury and then actually hit him with the front of my tank, ram him for all intents and purposes, as he is trying to come down into this hollow. I'm not actually doing anything, I'm just keeping him away. I can't move too far forward, but I'm not letting him get forward to depress his weapon. This is if you're a low profile tank. And this is something IS-8 and IS-3s can do, and T-54s and a lot of mediums who that low profile. It's got there is a real intrinsic value to having a low profile on your tank. We're going to see the same thing here. This is a Tier 8 game. I'm platooned up with Pimp Daddy. He's in the Hellcat. And this Yag Tiger is going to come around this corner hard and fast. And he wants a piece of action. And the piece of action he wants is me and Pimp. Now, Pimp's going to get one into him. I've got one into him. I'm going to go down there. I've got the derp gun. And I'm going to put him, would you believe this damage roll? I am going to put him on 1 hit point. Unbelievable. But what I do then is use him to shield me from the T1 heavy that's in front of me. He dies in a sec. The T20 is on my left. And I'm going to nose up really hard because he's on that same incline the Fury was on, and he can't get up to hit me. His gun depression doesn't allow it. Ram him, because I've only got to ram him for 1 hit point. Take the kill. And then that T20 is under fire from both sides. He's going to try and get out of there. And we're going to bounce one wiggling from him and win. Now, the way I found out, and the way I really started thinking about gun depression, was to drive a tank without it. Now, if you drive the Russian mediums and some of the Russian heavies, you don't have gun depression, and it gets you used to actually seeing what it's like and watching for it. All the time with T62s and T54s brawling, you can actually back off when they're on hills and they can't hit you. They can't depress far enough to hit your hull. Another trick that you really need to pay attention to, and not enough people do, is camouflage. I'm running a net, which is 25% to your camo value, as well as 15% from perks. I'm running spotter here for Pimp Daddy and his Hellcat. Now I've moved up. The tree that I'm in, or the bush, amplifies the camo value. I'm spotting for Pimp. Everyone who comes within QE of me here is going to get spotted, and he's going to have the opportunity to put shells into them. This is important. You don't have to always be the damage-dealing tank. Quite often, just getting up to a spot quick and letting your tank destroyers or big alpha guns behind you see the enemy is more important. And I'm well within view range here, but the camo perks and the net are doing their job. If you've got equipment like that, utilize it. Now I'm going to then push forward, because although I may take a little bit of damage and I'm outnumbered heavily, by pushing forward, I stop the enemy tanks from advancing, and they will then spot the artillery that I've got behind me, the tank destroyer I've got behind me. If I keep them far enough away, they can't find the tank that's doing the damage to them. They can't see Pimp Daddy. You can see that T43 there. He can't depress far enough to do much anyway. That good old gun depression. I'll push forward, stop these guys from doing any real spotting on Pimp Daddy, and he will actually tear them apart. And he does. I think he did over 2k in this game. Now, a bit of a backstory. We're on desert stands here. This is the E50. I have been striving like a demon to get my gold mastery badge in this bloody tank and have had absolutely no success. And it's affected the way I've played the game. I usually snipe with this tank, and I still do when in platoon. But if you want to get a mastery badge and you're sniping, and Ace Toby told me this the other day on the forums, and he's dead on. When you're sniping, you're actually giving away a lot of the XP to the spotter, which is dead on. It's true. It's what we just talked about with the camo in the Cromwell. So if you want to get the mastery, then you've got to be a bit more upfront. You can see you won't get more upfront than this. Whereas you're going to ram, as always, at T54, and then put one in the side of his turret, 728. So we put one in the T43. We're going to ram him again. Now, you want to be brutal with this E50. If you are brawling with it, get your upper glacis up front, up close and personal to them. It's a really tough tank to hit for other mediums. There you go. It's certainly, now we've got two tanks here. We want to keep them off our left-hand flank here. What we're going to do is turn, get one in on the move into the T43. You see we hit his ammo rack there, slows him down, he repairs. But we're facing the T44, and we're knocking the T43, and the T44 wants none of it. He's going to try and get out of there. No go, my friend. Now, that same old theme. Keep your nose to the enemy. All the way around here. If you're brawling in this tank, this is the absolute key. You've got to keep facing the enemy. Swinging that upper glacis from side to side. It's your big shield. Don't let them have easy angles to just sit there and contemplate. Get right in their face and move about. Now, I can see on the map in a second a tank destroyer is going to appear. I don't have time to actually wonder what kind of tier or anything it is. I just know it's a tank destroyer, and that's the reason that I actually turn my upper glacis away from this T44 towards that tank destroyer, because I'm really worried, and I still got a lucky bounce there. I'm really worried about that tank destroyer. It turns out it's the flat Panzer, not flat Panzer, the J Panther, and there's a heavy there as well, that IS-3. So I'm just trying to keep nose to nose with this guy and knock him off before that IS-3 gets there and gets clear shots for 400 damage into my side with that big BL of his. And there we go. We do it just in time now. IS-3, Russian gun. Low gun depression. No one's really going to get down this hill without, or shoot down the hill without getting right over the edge. So he exposes himself. T43, good on him. He does the right thing. He moves up here on the right-hand flank, and I follow. He's doing the right thing. I'm going to support him. I want to get right up close and personal again with this IS-3. We're going to put our nose into his side. Bam. There you have it. And that was my gold mastery game in the E50, which I've been desperately searching for quite some time. It was really the one that I was not happy having without in the cabinet. So look, thanks very much for tuning in for this long. If you didn't like it, I'm sorry, but you stuck around for 30 plus minutes, so you're a glutton for punishment. I've been Bushka on Blitz. You'll see plenty of bling on the awards screen here. Why not reward yourself? Oh, fuck, that's terrible. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Always lovely to hear comments on the forums, in the comments section, or just in the emails. See you out in the battlefield, boys and girls, and stay safe. Thanks for watching.